Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalfas. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We are here doing an internal pod. This is the first one with Chasey Boy announced as an official member of the Everyday Millionaire Show podcast. So
let's go.
Yay, we'll cue in some
applause.
Confetti.
Can I get a crowd?
Yeah, we should have done a live event for this one.
I don't think we ever have done a live.
That'd be kind of cool.
Actually, that would.
Can we tour?
Cool.
Can we go
for
on
the
tour?
Academy? I think we'll do more live stuff.
We have most of the people that listen to us are from Maryland. I feel like so. I don't know where
we could just tour around Maryland.
We'll go from here to Glen Burnie, from Glen Burnie to Towson, from
to
Brooklyn
to
Brooklyn.
We'll go to Brooklyn.
Park.
Yeah.
We'll just do it from
Westport.
our
Go to Westport.
Every rental of Nick's. 99 different spots.
So we are doing an internal, kind of just catching up on some things that we're doing, some fun news that we have coming out. Last event, like a little recap. The last event was great.
It was super fun. The food is always so good, first off. But there was a lot more people there than I thought there would be.
So I think we had, after looking at the spreadsheet and the people that actually signed in, there's obviously always a lot of people that don't end up signing in. But we had 100, I think it was 140 something people sign in or buy a ticket or sign in, which is a lot. So if you figure there was probably, 20, 30 people at least that didn't sign in.
Yeah.
We're probably close to 200 people in and out the door. So that's a good number. Especially it was snowing and kind of shitty outside. So so thanks for everybody that came. We love hosting those things. I think it's valuable. You see a lot of these events where people sit everybody down in a chair and they pitch you something or try to teach you something and a lot of the big players don't go to those things, but I pride our events in
the first thing we do when we get there is tell them to get rid of the chairs.
Right.
Because they're always there.
They're always there. And we say, get rid of them. This is strictly a fun, we're throwing a party. And I think people appreciate that. And we get the big players out because we're not trying to teach them something. We're not trying to pitch them on anything. We're just buying food, giving away money, and bringing good, solid people together. So there's a lot of money in that room.
Yeah, it's a cool little mix and mingle. I think everybody enjoys it. I think one guy saw a clip from the Google Drive, but one guy was saying if you just work your way around the room, you could literally meet anybody need in real estate. You just walk your way around the room. Dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, there's electricians there that I know. There was we always usually have a plumber that's one of the sponsors.
And these are all people that we use
every day
100% in the game.
The amount of wealth and knowledge in that room every single time is just invaluable to people. So if you are listening and are local to the Towson or Maryland area in general, there are people that drive from an hour away to come to these events, and you really get to meet and talk to people that are doing all this stuff that we talk about on a super, super high level, people that have hundreds and hundreds of houses, tens of millions of dollars in assets, and they come and just hang out, and most of them are an open book. Shout out Sean Magner, because he was talking to us about a fund that we're getting ready to start and launch, an equity fund, and he's not in that space exactly, but in a hard money space, and we were kind of asking him questions, and that's one of the reasons I love the real estate markets, because people like that, you can go and talk to them about literally becoming almost like a competitor to them, and they're happy to talk and help you out, and I think that's really real estate specific. I don't know a lot of other businesses that collaborate like that.
Yeah. And that's, I guess just touching on that, Brooke Kane, he helped Sean learn about the hard money business, and that was a competitor, they're both in the Baltimore area. They both know a lot of the same investors, and it's just, that willingness to help others, and you can, in a way it helps yourself out.
Yeah, so we definitely appreciate that. All the sponsors that make it possible, those things aren't cheap to put on. So it's a couple $1,000 just in food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. And then of course we give away some stuff and have to rent the space, and it's not a cheap thing. We pay for videos, pictures. We pay one of my staff members to go and be the door person, and so it's definitely something that we couldn't do without the sponsors. So all the people that always are sponsoring, A couple off the top of my head. Let's shout out a couple people.
Burnt Cabinetry,
Yep. Toss It Dumpsters.
Pinpoint
Diligent.
Skip,
Diligent Windows. I know we got more in there. Vibe Realty, Pippage and Mike, thank you for that. The Renovo Financial, they've done a couple. Brian at Beltway Lending did this last one. I try to keep it exclusive with certain industries. So like this time it was Beltway, last time it was Renovo.
You Movers.
Oh yeah, You Relax Movers. Ronaldo, he's always sponsoring now. Basically told me every time we have one he wants to sponsor. So yeah, shout out to all those people that do make it possible for us to have these events, because I would not that we can't, but I wouldn't be spending $5,000 every time we throw one of these events 4 times a year. It's good. It's good that these people get involved and they see the value. Obviously, they see the value in what we're doing, and they're willing to put up the money. And we host the event, so thank you for all those people. So what else, Nick? What's going on in your world of real estate? You been buying, selling?
A little mixture of both. Going back to 23, I started doing a little bit more flips, but it was still a good amount of rentals as well. Same thing in 2024. Now early 2025, still actively looking for deals. I have a couple under construction now that I'm going to flip. I have a handful under construction that I'm going to keep as rentals. So it's definitely getting closer to like a 60-40 of like 60% holds, 40% flips. And mainly because of the higher interest rates. If I have to buy at a higher price point, and like, for example, I love Pigtown. So like if I back 2, 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I first started buying there, I could buy shells or properties that needed full renovation for 60 to 70,000. Now those same properties I'm getting for, or becoming available between 90 and 100, 110, and the cash flow is not there, but the flip, I may be able to sell them and make a profit. So I'll just analyze that deal as if I'm going to flip it and make some money. Although I hate getting rid of the properties in areas that I have a lot of properties in, a lot of rentals, because it's just easier to have rentals in one.
But it is good if you're selling them. I imagine your end buyer to those flips is a homeowner.
It's crazy. My last one that I sold in Pigtown was an investor, and they bought it at the price I was asking for retail.
So I was just thinking, the more homeowners you sell to, the better
The neighborhood.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's true too. Yep. The more rehabs that are getting done, and more homeowners in the area makes it definitely more desirable.
Yeah.
So are you primarily still in Pigtown, or is it other areas?
I mean, I would choose Pigtown over, well, everywhere besides the county. I would choose Pigtown, but if a good deal comes up, I'm willing to go. I just love Pigtown because if a maintenance call comes up and my guys are already there working on the property, or like the last couple months we've been working on several properties at the same time, and if a maintenance call pops up in the area, it's easy to get to. It's just right down the street. Whereas if we're working 30 minutes away in a different direction and the whole crew's at one location and we get a maintenance call, and if it's urgent, we might not be able to get to it that same day. It might have to be the next day.
So you have,
or I might have
you
to
have
call in someone else.
full-time maintenance people.
I mean, full-time contractors. So I have 6 full-time contractors, and they are my maintenance crew as well if I need maintenance done.
So he's putting like Lucas on a maintenance call while like he'd be mid construction. He gets a call and then sends Lucas out there to fix it.
So you have to stop your flip in order to.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It won't happen. It won't, I won't take them off the track that they're on for that day and that goal that they're setting for that day of completing whatever it is they're working on that flip or that construction project for a rental. It'll probably have to be scheduled for that next day. Or if it's like a plumbing issue, I may reach out to the actual, like a licensed plumber to take care of it if it's very urgent. If it's not super urgent, I will just schedule it for the next day or just schedule a maintenance day for that week to knock out all the maintenance stuff.
Yeah. That's one thing, like for property management specifically, it is really beneficial to be close to everything. Like Chad over at Emerald Property Management, I actually just gave him a lead the other day because I know he does stuff on the Eastern Shore, and the lead came in from the Eastern Shore off of our Google ad. And I was like, I don't want to do the Eastern Shore because so part of the way that we make money is maintenance, and our maintenance guy can't drive an hour and a half to the Eastern Shore to go fix something. It would cost the clients like way too much, and then you got to find vendors and people everywhere else, and it makes it really difficult. So having things close is nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess because I'm up north a little bit farther, like for you to say an hour and a half to the Eastern Shore, I'm like, wait a minute, it's definitely farther, but it's farther from me just because I'm a little bit farther north.
Yeah. I mean, from here, like I can get across the bridge
Pretty
and
quickly.
yeah, like 20, 30 minutes max. But the problem is the bridge. Like the bridge is a huge X factor.
Traffic,
You can
yep.
get caught in traffic. The bridge can shut down for winds, for whatever. So I don't touch anything on the Eastern Shore, and I know for a fact there's a lot of opportunity over there. People are flipping that I know over there, but I think that keeping things as close as possible is important. Even like that, we're doing a flip down in PG County, and for my guys, like we're doing actually the house that we bought from you up in Essex. We're doing another one in PG County with the same guys, and it's like an hour and 15 minutes away. So like just that drive from one to the other takes up somebody's, project manager. It would take them an hour and 15 minutes to get back.
Yeah, and that's a lot of time wasted. I remember, I guess a couple of years ago when you had to do estimates, but you were bouncing all over the place, so you had a driver just drive you around while you had your computer out.
Yeah. We were talking about that at the event the other night, actually. People were laughing at me, like Eugene and we were talking about it, and they're like, you used to have a driver, like, that's so bougie. And I'm like, it's actually not. Like, if you think about it
if
from
you're
my
driving
perspective,
a lot of time, it makes
if you're
sense.
driving 3 or 4 hours a day or more, having somebody to drive is only $20 an hour.
Yeah, and you save your night, right? Because if not, you're going to be at home working until midnight, busting out the estimates when you can just be doing it along the way. And you could forget a lot of the stuff along the way. If you do multiple per day, yeah, you'll have the photos, but you might forget like which house.
They
is
all
which.
blend together. All the problems that you found in the one blends. I still have that issue. Even like right now, I'm really heavy in Anne Arundel County with a lot of stuff. But I'll go to 3 or 4 houses, and even just not even estimates, just like checking in, I'll remember a problem from one house that's actually a problem at the other house and get them all mixed, matched, and confused. And it is something that if you are like a newer entrepreneur, that was before I had. So I think we had one admin at the time, but that was before I had any like VAs or admin handling my emails or handling anything like administratively. I had to do all that myself for the most part. So having somebody to pay $20 an hour where I can be locked in, like that's worth it. $20 an hour is a very cheap way to have myself locked in doing tasks that are making me way more than $20 an hour. Like doing estimates makes a lot more than $20 an hour.
I giggled at you earlier because Kristen always jokes that she's my personal driver and she drives me around because like every time we go down to Lakeston or like wherever we're going, I'm like, hey, I need you to drive because I'm on the computer and like that. I mean, that's it, dude. You can get so much done. The part I have trouble is like, don't talk to me.
Well, if
I
you
love
pay
you,
them
but
and they're not your wife,
Right.
it's a lot easier to
Right,
do
right.
that and lock in. But I could imagine that my wife would not be stoked if I was like, you're going to drive me around and you're not going to talk to me so I can be on the phone for the whole time. Because it's already, when we're on long drives, she complains about me being on the phone the whole time. Because that's usually when I get my phone calls in, is on the road. But yeah, like for somebody that's like, a new entrepreneur and doesn't have that ability to have like an office staff, having a driver is actually a good first step. And what really actually benefits from that driver is that person, if you position it right and they're like, let's say for you, like you find like a young guy that wants to hustle, wants to grow, wants to do what you're doing. Not only are they driving you, my driver ended up turning into one of my lead project managers and then turned into property manager.
Yeah, it's a really good way for them to learn.
So they're with me every day. I mean,
I remember
when you started, you just were sitting in my passenger seat for the most part, but you just like learned because you were around me on the phone and like you heard and just kind of being around that person. If somebody was like listening and they're like 21 years old and doesn't know what they want to do and they see you, growing your business, buying these houses, hey, $20 an hour for a driver is not that bad.
Yeah.
Or for a free coach. I mean, just to learn the business.
Right. Yeah, you think about it that way. I mean, from a coaching perspective, you're basically just sitting there watching somebody run their business all day long. If you sat in my car, the amount of nuggets that are getting shot out every day, I mean, it's a lot. Like I'm constantly on the phone putting out fires. That's how Chase learned that he didn't want to start a property management company.
This is true.
By hearing all the freaking problems that I have with property management.
Speaking of a property management problem, did you send that email so we can be BBB accredited?
Oh my God. Yes, I did. So we got, listen to this, Nick, this is crazy. So this was like a couple of years ago. I don't even know when it was, honestly. Well, Tatiana was working for us. It had to be last year or 2 years ago. I was evicting a tenant for not paying their rent and not paying, I guess, a BG&E bill or water bill or something. I don't know. They stopped paying rent, right? They wouldn't let us in the house to do like we were trying to do a wellness check. They changed the locks, wouldn't let us in. So I literally had to call the police. I went there myself. I met the police there, knocked down the door, not knocked down. I had somebody there to drill out the locks. And then the girl called the police on us. This is a true story. So
Like while you were there with the
She
police?
was at work, yeah. So she was at work, and I had called her and then texted her because she didn't answer the call. And I said, just so you know, we are going into your unit. We gave you 24 hours notice, like as per your lease. We're changing the locks back to our locks. The cops were with me. Like I had the Baltimore County Police Department with me. This was up in Parkville. And I was like, I showed the cop. I said, this is the lease. This is my management agreement with the owner. This is the notice that I gave the tenant saying that I'm going to change the locks and put a lockbox there so she can access it. So I'm not like taking her access away. I'm not trying to like illegally kick her out or anything like that. And I wanted to because this girl was crazy. Like she knew the rules and like was definitely looking for me to misstep so she could sue me. So I did everything 100% by the book. Lost the battery. The middle one. Hopefully that's okay. So the long story short, we basically, we had the police there. Then she called the police. And then the police got a dispatch call from their dispatch and was like, we have a call at, I don't want to say the address, but this address. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And he's like, oh, you're here for this person? He's like, nope, I'm here for the other person that called me first. And it's the landlord. And she's like, oh, well, the person's calling saying that they're illegally breaking into her apartment. And he's like, no, that's not the case. So then she called me, the tenant finally called me, and I was like, look, this is what's happening. And she started losing her mind. And I said, I'm here with the police. And she's like, I'm calling the police. I said, here they are. This is officer. And then he's like, this is officer, blah, blah, blah. And she went off on him. And he was like, listen, ma'am, this person showed me the lease, showed me the messages to you. This is what's happening. I'm here to monitor. Like, she's like, well, I'm calling your boss. She's like, you can call whoever you want, but they're just going to call me and tell me to come here, and I'm already here. And like, literally. So she ended up, long story short, court ruled in our favor, but she put in a BBB thing, Better Business Bureau, which is a freaking bunch of BS anyway. But so at the time we did respond, but we had a negative, remark.
He had a negative connotation on P property management. And since we had put in to get accredited for P home buyers, they said that we couldn't get accredited until this was resolved. So I called the lady, super nice lady, and she was like, yeah, just have them send me over an email, like let me know like exactly what happened, and I'll dissolve it, and then
Yeah. So is that how you found out about it? Is when you went to go?
Well, no, I knew about it, and then I had responded to them, and then I just forgot about it because the girl got evicted, and I never paid for the Better Business Bureau because they tried to extort me basically when I did this whole thing. They were like, oh, well, if you paid for this, we would protect her. I'm like, I'm not paying you for a lady that was crazy and didn't pay me rent. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So I never paid them, and I just never followed up because I didn't care because nobody.
Oh, they wanted the BBB wanted you to pay them to remove it.
Basically, they wanted me to pay for us to be protected or whatever against these kind of claims, and I'm like, I don't really care.
BBB is like $500 a year or something like that.
It's more for the point. It's not the money. It was just like I don't really care that much. Like I don't care. This person is a non-paying tenant. Like I don't need to pay some company to protect me from a non-paying tenant complaining about my company.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, it matters for us because like sellers, like I just showed Ryan a screenshot of another investor that literally said like the seller told him like the BBB accreditation on their website and the reviews that they had like meant a lot to him, gave him some like social proof and like trust factor. So I was like, hey Ryan, we should probably look into getting BBB accredited just to have it on our website. It's $500, like just to show like, hey, we have good reviews, like we're accredited, so on and so forth. But I just thought it was funny. I sent him a screenshot of that,
So
and I was like,
I said yes. Go ahead and do it.
the gift that keeps giving, Ryan, your property management company.
So where is that right now? Like, what are your thoughts on your property management company? Because I know you went from, wanting to grow it to not really wanting to grow it because there's too much of a headache, but it's part of the business. Where are
I'm
you at
like
with it now?
an indecisive woman with that business. No, I hate the business. I'm looking at it right now as a necessary evil. It's a good lead generation source.
We just actually closed the deal today from the property management company.
Yeah, which it's funny because that deal, the amount of times that I've shown it and been there, it's probably still a net negative. And like Chase made money on the commission, and I got like some referral. I don't even know how much we're getting, but
It's like
anyway,
$4,000. It's
yeah.
good.
But yeah, so it's a good lead source. I just gave Chase another lead for a tired landlord that we manage their property. So like for the sales side, it's a good lead source for Chasey and his team. It's a terrible business though. Like, I mean, you run a property management company, but you actually do it in a better way because you don't have a whole sector of what I have to do is managing other people's money and doing the whole like 1099s for owners and owner statements and the accounting for the owners. Like you just have to do it for yourself, which is nice. That would be a good place. Like I wouldn't mind that as much. But we have owners that, for example, own one house. Rent doesn't come in on the 5th. They're calling and beating down our door because they don't have rent and they can't pay their mortgage. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like I can put them in for failure to pay rent in a couple of days, but like they're late. Like they're going to pay a late fee. But like, so it's just, I don't know. The way I look at it, it brings in business for the construction company. It brings in business for the brokerage. It is a headache and it's not a profitable model of business. Like think about it from a percentage base, right? Like our max gross potential when you take away maintenance and leasing is 8%. So we're operating on an 8% margin. When most companies are thinking gross margins 30, 40%, we're like, let's start at 8. And then you have to lease and then you have to fix things. So then when you fix things, there's always somebody, if not everybody, that's mad at you because the tenants are mad that something's broken. And then you have to send the bill to the owner, and the owner's mad because you're sending the bill because it's always too expensive no matter what it costs. It could be $45 that we have to charge them for something, and it's too much. And so everybody's always mad at you. Yeah. Like I build a kitchen for somebody, and they're like stoked. They're like, thank you so much. I love my kitchen. I love my bathroom. Whatever. Like you do a flip for an investor, they make money. I make money. Everybody's happy.
Ryan's a big words of affirmation guy.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm great.
Yeah. Tell me I'm doing a good job or I'm going to quit.
No, that's a good point. It's tough because to not be able to make any side happy, like you said, the tenant or the owner, it's like, why am I even doing this?
It's demotivating.
When you said that to me, that was the one thing that clicked with me, and I was like, yeah, wait, why would I start a property management company for nobody to be happy with me and me to take on everybody's headaches for 8%?
Because the other thing, if you're doing a good job, you're just doing your job. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. Like if you collect a rent on time, if you manage their water bills, if you manage the maintenance and you take the calls at 4 a.m. from the fucking fire department that the carbon monoxide alarm is going off in a multifamily building, like you do all those things, you're just doing the baseline of your job. You're not like going above and beyond. There's no real way to like go and above and beyond, right? Like you just do your job. And it's just a thankless business where people don't like really appreciate you And some people do. I don't want to say that. Like there are clients, like I got a text the other day from somebody that lives in Mexico, and we managed her property, and she had some freezing pipes issues, and we had people out there every day fixing the issues and like working through it. And she sent me a long text like, "Thank you so much. I wouldn't know what I would do without you." Blah blah blah. That's like the first thank you that I've gotten, I think, in either a long time or ever. Where my construction company, people thank me all the time. Like they're so stoked. If you go on my neighborhood Facebook group, everybody is stoked. Like they're all like, "Thanks for P home remodeling. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that." Property management is just not the same. Like it's just a thankless, low profit business. So I'm keeping it. We're steadily I don't want to say we're actively growing it, but we're just maintaining. I'm taking on some clients, being very selective on where we take clients on. I do not want to be managing stuff in like war zone areas, or I don't want to be heavy in low income areas. It's just I don't know, man. It's a tough business. I don't know how else to put it. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a property management company, don't do something else.
Think twice.
That's how I feel.
Or just ride around with Ryan for 2 weeks.
Yeah, come. You're welcome to come sit in my truck and listen to me yell at people and hear people yell at me, and it's grand all time.
It's either he's yelling at property management or Home Depot. It's one of the two.
God, Home Depot, man, they've been throwing me for a loop recently. Like they're just. I had the regional manager of all of the pro people, like from like between Philly and like Norfolk, Virginia, here at my house in a meeting, because they just keep messing things up, like deliveries. Like we're on a freaking 8-mile run the other day, and Saturday morning at 7:00 in the morning, they called. A delivery person called. They said, "We'll be there in 10 minutes." I said, "Okay, great." I called the tenant, or I texted the tenant, and I said, "Hey, Maddie, they're going to be there soon." She said, "Okay." She's like, "I'm here." Then they didn't call me back. She just called me, and I know for a fact, this lady, it's my own house that I own. This lady has a dog. Every time somebody knocks on the door, this lady's a sweet little old city lunch lady. She doesn't have a car. She's always home if she's not at school. And when you knock on her door, her dog goes crazy. I got a call from her, and I didn't answer, and then she texted me a picture of Home Depot's like thing that they put on the door saying we attempted delivery, and nobody answered. And they didn't even call me. Like they called me before they got there, so I knew they had my number. And then they didn't call me to say, "Hey, the person's not answering the phone." And they said, "Oh, well, we knocked and nobody answered." And I said, "No, no, you didn't. Like, I know for a fact you didn't, because the dog would have went crazy. That the tenant is home." So they didn't deliver it. So that tenant was without a stove and a dryer for another week that it took them to finally deliver it. So I get brutalized by Home Depot, man. It's freaking exhausting dealing with them. What I did, and this goes out. Chase and I were talking about this like video concept the other day. I have a lot of vendors that I spend a lot of money at, as do you, right? So I said we should make a video. I'll diverge and go back. We should make a video of how many like free lunches I can get. How long can I survive on vendor paid lunches? Because I do look at how much money I spend at these places. And what I did before that Home Depot meeting to kind of tie this all together was I looked up all of the vendors that we use, because Home Depot sucks at those things, but they offer those things too. So windows, right? Cabinets, just flooring, all the things that we use these other vendors for, paint. And I added it up. And last year we spent $750,000. Well, we still spent like $1 million+ at Home Depot. We spent $750,000 at other vendors. And I pulled up the QuickBooks report for them. And I said, "Look, this is what I spent at other vendors, because you guys aren't able to service me. Like, I need to be serviced. And we are financially incentivized to use Home Depot, because we get the rebate, we get like the gift cards, the more you spend, the tiers, you get your pro extra points, all that stuff. I'm like, I'm the easiest sale in the world. I'm the easiest sale. I'll go use you because I literally get money for use. The more I spend, the more I get back in rebates. So that's $750,000 that I spent at other vendors. That's just a 2% rebate. we lost is $15,000. So I lost $15,000. Also, probably spent more, arguably, at these other vendors because Home Depot would have been cheaper, but they just can't do what the other vendors can do. So, yeah, it's frustrating to say the least, but it is kind of one of those things. I said at one point, I was like, I'm like a $10 million company. You guys, I looked it up on ChatGPT. I was like, you guys are like a $400 billion company. Can't you just do things right? Like, and I think that's the problem, is that they're just too big.
Is there delivery service? Is that subbed out or? Okay,
That's the problem.
Probably the big problem. Yeah.
That's the problem. And I told him, I was like, and I actually brought you up too. I was like, look up me, Nick Kalfas, and I forget who else I said, somebody else. And I was like, if you just took our 3 accounts and hired a full-time driver with a box truck, you could easily put together $3 million in sales between just our 3 accounts, even if you just took your account and my account. And just Home Depot had a personalized driver, or 2 guys even, to some things you need 2 people to carry, and they just drove around in a box truck all day long and delivered materials for us. I would spend $750,000 at Home Depot if they were doing that.
Nick, you spend that much money there?
I spend about 250 to 300 a year.
So
do you get lawn care stuff there too?
Just basic stuff like trimmer string, oil. Everything else is bought at like landscaping supply houses and stuff like that.
But what about like cabinets?
Current cabinetry.
Use current and flooring.
Flooring. I was going to Wood Floors Plus. Now I'm go to a place off of 40 in Rosedale. They're a little bit cheaper than
Are you gatekeeping over there? The name?
What is the name? It's
He's like, not unless they pay us to advertise. I'm not saying the name. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, let me ask them first. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's called Echo Cabinet and Flooring.
Okay.
So you know who I'm actually going on Thursday for a tour of their factory or whatever warehouse. Sherwin-Williams has flooring.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that the other day.
We got carpet from them for the last flip that we did.
When you told me that, I was like, what are you talking about?
It was actually nice carpet, and they cut it and delivered it. Where normally Wood Floors Plus, like my carpet guy goes and measures, and I call Wood Floors Plus, I tell them the cuts, then my carpet guy goes and picks it up. I told Sherwin-Williams the cuts, and they delivered it the next day, like very next day. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
It's not bad. I usually just send the carpet guy out, and he takes the measurements and...
Yeah, we started using somebody that stocks their own carpet. I tried them out. That's who I used at actually your old house. I don't want to blow up the address right now, but we use them there and a couple other ones. And it's easier when the carpet guy stocks and supplies the carpet for sure. But we're just doing so much volume that it's hard for one person to keep up. So we have to use multiple people. And the one guy that we've been using, he will not stock anything. He just goes and picks it up and then delivers and brings it there.
Does he take the old carpet away too?
Yeah. So he goes and measures, tells me all the cuts, and then I call Wood Floors Plus, order it, pay for it, send him the PO, like the invoice, and then he goes and picks it up, comes demos, and
for a new investor, when you say like all the cuts, what do you mean?
So carpet comes in a roll, and it's 12 foot wide, and it comes in a roll of like hundreds of feet, and like like let's just say like this room right here, they'd probably do it this way, but it would be a 12 foot by like let's just say this room's 20 foot. He would say one 20-foot cut, and then like a closet might be like a 6-foot cut. So it's like 6 by 12. So anytime you're cut, it's a 12-foot roll cut by whatever feet you said. So it's easier for them to do it at the warehouse, like when they pull it off of the big ream, for them to cut it there rather than somebody to roll out a giant carpet thing at a house.
Yeah, right.
So they cut it at the factory or warehouse, whatever you want to call it, and then install it on site. So like a stairwell will have like a 16-foot run. That'll be a 16-foot cut. So yeah, that's actually a good question, because I feel like that's just such a natural thing for me to know.
You say a lot of things and I'm like, wait, what is he talking about?
Yeah, I think I guess we could diverge into the course that we're putting out in the community that we're starting. Like, one of the things I think valuable is we're going to be putting out a lot of this information into the ethos. We're going to be recording on how Nick started his portfolio, how he's managing his portfolio, how I started my construction company, my property management company, how Chase went from Air Force to full-time real estate, all in a couple of weeks. I think probably in about a month. So if you are interested in that, please join our Facebook group. Nick just started today, and it's called what?
The Everyday Millionaire Show Academy.
Yeah, so we are launching this course. It's going to be a paid course that teaches you everything from the in and outs of wholesaling to construction to property management.
Setting up LLCs.
We're going to bring on some professionals in different industries to talk about tax benefits, 1031 exchanges, all sorts of fun stuff. I think we're going to have exclusive podcasts within the course with some professionals that will be only released in that.
It would be really cool to talk to your Maryland Lynch guys and all of that. That would be super cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some financial people in there, some real estate specific people in there, some bankers, all that kind of stuff. So that's coming down the pipeline. So follow us on the social medias. It is being all kind of collaborated in the within the podcast. So our YouTube channel and all that stuff is going to kind of go hand in hand, side and side, whatever you want to call it. Our Instagram is the Everyday Millionaire Show, and all of the information will be released on there. YouTube, we are growing on YouTube too. I was telling Chase today, we had over 17,000 YouTube watches in the last 28 days, which is good. YouTube has been hard.
More shorts?
You know what? I don't know. I'd have to look.
I'd be interested to see, because I know YouTube's pushing the shorts right now because of the whole TikTok thing. They're trying to bring people over.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that stat. But we did hire somebody, Eric Campbell. Shout out to Eric Campbell. He just hit us up on Instagram and said that he's like a YouTube optimizer kind of guy. And I was like, you know what, let's take a shot at it. Our YouTube's kind of been in this slump. We had a couple of videos that did crazy numbers, and we got up to a couple thousand subscribers, 4,000. And then we were kind of stuck in this rut of not getting a lot of views. And I think he's posting a lot of shorts. He's focusing on the shorts, kind of going back through old podcasts. It's funny, some of the stuff that he's sending me is samples. It's when I was fat, and I'm like, damn, I know that's good content, but I don't want to put that out like it's new.
It is wild though. I mean, we've talked about this, but just in 3 months of the podcast, you can watch the transformation that you went through.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I have been doing a bad job about posting our training. We are still actively training like savages. We have our Ironman race in May, our first one. So I do have to get better about posting about that. But that transformation, now looking back at those videos, makes me sick. I'm like, I don't even want, even if it's really good content, I'm like, nah, don't post that. Find something from 2024 and forward. I'm not interested in seeing anything pre-2024. But yeah, so he's been helping us out a lot with that YouTube optimizing, and now our subscribers are growing. I think we got 100 in the last couple of days. So thank you for everybody that's following us on YouTube. That's been a battle, getting people to switch from, because we have a lot of audio listeners, a ton more audio listeners than video listeners.
I don't think I was here when you guys had the podcast with Eric, but I don't think you get a switch.
No.
Those people that are listening, and you guys probably do the same thing, but if you listen to it unless you have YouTube Premium, which is what I have, typically you listen to podcasts on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you listen to them at, and then you watch YouTube videos in your home or at the office or whatever. Typically I will listen to a podcast on my phone because I can lock my phone and I'm not actually watching, I'm just listening. So I don't think you really convert those people over.
That's what the guy Eric was saying. Because I asked him that when he had his initial consultation. I was like, how do we get these people? Because I do have a statistic. 97% of our audience 97% listen to us on Apple Podcasts specifically. 97%. That's a lot. So that means 3% only is coming from, and we're on all platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, all over the place. 97% are from Apple Podcasts specifically. And he said this, exactly what you said. Those people are not going to convert because they're listening to you on their phone, in their car, on the way to work, or on their way home from work. Not a lot of people are sitting there watching podcasts. So that's why he's very heavy on the shorts, telling me to, we got to hit the shorts, we got to do the shorts, because that's what's going to drive the video people that are on YouTube, watching YouTube, to watch us from the shorts. So that's what we're doing. Just the whole grind, man. I mean, this podcast, we've been doing it for 3 years, and it's, in the grand scheme of things, like I tell people all the time, like it's definitely, we've spent way more money than we've ever made, like even from the events and the sponsors and whatever else. We spent way more than we've ever made, but it has created sort of a community, and it's brought in business for me. I don't know why the hell you're doing it, because you never even promote your business. So, yeah, so that's been a battle. It's been a grind. So kudos to everybody that does start podcasts and keeps going, because honestly, if it wasn't for it bringing in business and being kind of like my living resume, I would not be.
Dude, people
here.
that do content like YouTube, they always say like you can't be in it for the money, or you'll just die out. Like you'll do it for a week or two and then you'll just be done. Like kind of like my triathlon series. Not that it was for money or anything, but like it's a grind.
Wait, are you done triathlon?
No, he did this, and I was invested in this thing. I was invested. I watched every episode, and I was like, this is good shit. He was filming us training.
Yeah.
And it was good content, and he gave up on it like a quitter.
It wasn't that I gave up. It was just, it's a lot like outside work, outside of what I was already doing. You know what I mean? Like,
I think if you had somebody relying on you to do it and someone relying on you,
yeah,
like it would be hard for me to do a podcast by myself, but I think because like I wouldn't want to let Ryan down by not showing up to the podcast.
Dude, podcasts are easy. Like in the game of like filmmaking, podcasts are easy relatively. Like typically you have a setup, you press record, you sit in front of a mic and you talk. When you're like actually filming yourself, you have to like set the tripod up with the camera, fix the settings, the exposure, make sure it's right. Then you have to do your action of like opening a fridge, right? Like you know how vlogs go. And then you have to move the camera, and it can take you hours just recording yourself video. Doing the same thing it would have took you way less time doing. So like doing that, it was just exhausting, and then you have to upload all the content, and then you have to edit it, and it's a lot. It's work outside of work, and I already have a lot going on, so kind of burnt me out. And then I think our editor kind of had some issues for a while, so like I didn't have anybody to edit footage, and I was just like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. So
yeah,
it's shout out to the people that do content, because it is a full-time job if you take it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely. I mean, even just the stupid little videos that we shoot with like our video guy. We're sitting there doing like 5 different takes of those like 30-second videos. And those, I'm paying. We'll do another shout out. Today's the day of shout outs. Mitch Goldstein, he comes around and does videos with us. But like full disclosure, he's $500 a day, and that's a half day. It's not even a full day. It's like 5 hours, and it's $500. So it's not cheap to get that stuff done professionally. And then the cameras are $4,000 or whatever that we pay for these cameras and all this stuff. So it's a grind. It's tough. The podcast is fun, though. I mean, it's been fun. It's brought us to a lot of cool places. We've met a lot of cool people. We've met some boring people, but I've learned a lot, I feel like, from running it, from doing it, just the grind in general. So it's been good. It's been a good run. And now we're finally putting something on paper. We haven't really had an official like business or anything, but we are starting now official like LLC and the course and everything, and hopefully we can monetize it in some way and help people at the same time. So that's coming down. What are some predictions on this year's market, this real estate market that we're in right now?
That's a good one. Personally, I think rates, It depends on the administration and what happens, right? Like Trump's trying to enforce like where he's going to mandate them to drop it, or if he cuts the Fed, like he's trying to cut the Fed out, and kind of force rates down himself. It could be interesting. Like the housing prices could shoot through the roof. It could become competitive again. But I mean, it just really all depends on rates. I truly don't think if he doesn't get his way, I think rates stay around the same, 6.7s. And the market's just kind of iffy. I don't think it really goes.
It's weird though, because like there's certain markets that I feel like are still so strong. Like our flip went under contract in 3 days, but then I have other houses that are like sitting up for sale. Like the one in Dundalk, our listing in Dundalk, I've been sitting on that listing and it's priced less than she bought it for 3 or 4 years ago. And it's all because the rates were super low. Then the price per month, is different. But literally, we're priced less than what they bought it at, and it's just sitting on the market for sale for months and months. And then other markets, 3 days on the market, we're all over asking.
Well, I mean, I think too, it's like we were talking to like a bunch of big players in the Maryland investor game, and they were saying, hey, like if you're doing a flip, it has to be done to the T, and buyers are pulling the trigger right away as soon as they walk in. And I think you were showing it to Dave, and he said, hey, this is a good product. Like you're putting out, like I gotta step up my game a little bit. And I think that had some effect on why we were under contract in 3 days. And I think we priced it pretty fairly too, a little bit under what we thought we could get, even though the appraiser was giving us some.
So I always have the belief that the buyer is always there. Like the buyer's out there somewhere, right? But you may have other people that come and see it where they may have pulled the trigger sooner if it was a higher quality rehab, if it was not on a double yellow line road. But the buyer is always there. It's just a matter of locating that buyer locating that house. And, because I had a house probably months ago, 6 to 8 months ago. It was on Washington Boulevard. And it was 2 others that were active right around within a week of the same time mine was active. And mine went under contract first. And one of the ones on that same street is still on the market. And it's been about a year now that it's been on the market. They took it off the market, it got broken into, and then they tried to re-put it back on the market after, now that it's not as cold as it was. So it's definitely, the quality of your construction when you're flipping house and definitely has to be better than rental grade, but I do think, location factors in that. But ultimately, I do believe that there's always a buyer, and it just takes one, right? Only one buyer can buy your house. So I just believe it's that one person that comes through that wants to pull the trigger particular moment.
I'm working with a couple buyers right now, and I just showed 6 houses on Saturday, and we had like a new construction appointment down in South Lake, in Bowie, and they're not just looking in one market though. That's the thing about a lot of these buyers is they're looking in like multiple markets. It's not just like Bowie. They're looking in Upper Marlboro. They're looking in Laurel, like South Laurel. Like majority is like PG counties where they're staying, but it's not just like they're dialed into one area. And so like he's comparing location and price. He's like, I love this house. It's everything. It's like 2017 in-unit townhouse, Ryan Homes. It's super nice, but the location's not great, right? And it's a little bit above where he wants to be at. He'd have to ask like $20K off. Then there's another one in a better area, not as like there's other cons, like the parking sucks, but the price is right aligned with his budget. And he's like, you know what? I think I'd rather go with this area. It's next to I forgot what mall it is, but it's a mall down there. And he's like, I'd much rather be in the nicer area, and it's in line with my
budget. I think
budget.
it's about setting those expectations up front. Like, even though I am still a realtor, back before I knew exactly what direction I wanted to go and whether I wanted to, grow the rental portfolio or become like a full-time agent, there was an agent in the office at the time, and they were like, look, you have to set the expectation up front. Like, we're going to see, we're going to see 3 to 6 houses. Write down that list of like your wants and your needs, and you're not going to have a perfect house. You're never going to find that perfect house that has every single accommodation that you want, unless you're building your own house in the area that you want and you got all the money to do all that stuff. But generally, you have to pick from your list of wants and decide which ones are most important. And when you find that, those houses that have those, then you got to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was something that I set with him and his now fiance early on. I was like, hey, listen, I like to typically see 4 houses max. What I found is like after the 4th house, everything just starts running together. Like you were saying about the construction jobs. Like once you've seen so many houses, you're like, did that one have a tiled bathroom? Like you don't remember anything. And then you're referencing the photos, and it's just.
And if you really know what you want, you should be able to narrow it down based on the photos and based on your search online.
Right.
That you shouldn't need to see. Like I get it when a new buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, you want to see a couple of different. Like when my first home, like here's a perfect example. Like I looked in. I was working in Bel Air at the time, so I looked at like single-family houses in Bel Air, and then I was like, I don't want to be up there. I'm single, and like I want to be probably closer to the city, but I didn't want to be in the city. And then I looked in like the Towson area, and then I was like, I don't want to drive on 695. And then I finally looked in like Canton area, and I was like, okay, I guess I want to be in the city. And I ended up in the city. But I literally looked at like rural single family homes. I probably looked at 5 or 6 houses before I picked the one, but I didn't really know what I wanted. But once you figure that out, once you figure out like your buy box as like a retail buyer, you should be able to eliminate most of the things. Like when we bought this house, one of like the non-negotiables, like it had to have a garage. It had to be in Severna Park.
Attached garage.
Attached garage,
Yeah.
right. It had to have an attached garage. It had to be in Severna Park. So like we knew that like that was like some criteria that we had to hit. And I could eliminate a bunch of houses that didn't have that, right, off the bat. So if you're a buyer, like have those wants, needs, and like non-negotiables set up front.
Yeah.
It'll save you
That's
and your
something,
poor agent.
Yeah, that's something I want to do with my team more often. And shout out to my buyers, man. But like, that's something that you got to do. Like you were saying, Nick, is like up front is like, hey, here's a box, like a checklist maybe of like your wants and needs. Let's go through each house and like check off, what your wants are. And let's be realistic here. Like you're not going to get everything you want, and you'll have to make sacrifices. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yep.
So, unless you have a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, even with a lot of money though, like I don't want to sit like our buddy down in Florida. I went to look at a house the other day for them down there. When I was down there, from a construction perspective, like they wanted me to kind of weigh in, and the house was listed for $1.9 million. He's got plenty of money, and it didn't have a lot of the things that it needed. It was like this guy was selling a $1.9 million house. Dude, the drywall was finished, but like 2 rooms weren't even like fully painted yet. I'm like, you have a $1.9 million house listed, and like it's not like the floors weren't refinished, the cabinets were old. Like there were so many things wrong with this house. They put an addition on. This is crazy. It's literally a $2 million house. They put an addition on, so there was a window in the exterior wall that now is inside, and they didn't remove the window and drywall it over. Like it would have taken one of my guys 2 hours with drywall and painting to do this. But they just left the window. So there's a window inside the house looking in from the hallway into the addition, where like they were like thinking that was a bedroom. So now you have a window from the hallway into the bedroom.
That's like the Morningside house that I wholesaled. Do you remember in Glen Burnie?
Yeah.
And you pointed that out to me, and I was like, oh, it's a 3-bedroom. And you're like, is it a 3-bedroom? Because it's the window is looking into the addition. And I was like,
Right.
that's a good question because I have no idea.
But that was a $300,000.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
or something.
big
This is a $2 million house in St.
fraction.
Pete. Like,
Yeah.
The craziness of that market down there is absolutely insane. But the that price point, like I would say, like that person that we know has plenty of money. It's not the money. It's just that didn't check off all the boxes, and it's hard to find something that will, even with a lot of money, unless you knock something down and rebuild, or do what I did here. We redid the whole thing. Like we bought the house knowing that you have some stuff that you need to do, and that's it.
Yeah.
So what else? We got to wrap up here. I know I'm hungry. I'm sure Chase is hungry. So what else we got, Nick?
I'm cold.
Cold.
Yeah. We need spring.
Yeah, it is. It's been cold.
My hands get so like chapped up and dry when it's. And then, like, when I wash my hands, too, I think that's the cold. And, like, when I wash my hands, it just gets super dry and starts to, like, crack up.
That's why I just go to Florida every weekend.
Yeah.
It's just like I have
One way
to
to do
in
it.
order to stay sane. And it sounds crazy, but like it resets me in a way where I like come back and like today I like got up and I was like ready to grind, and I got back last night, and like yesterday I was on the beach on my boat, hanging out in the sunshine, and then today I was like on it. I was on calls, I was hustling and grinding. If I was just here all weekend and cold, I would not be as like grinding today.
Yeah. Taking those little mini vacations definitely can give you some motivation to keep pushing through.
Yeah, and I try to work like a little bit while I'm down there, but I also try to like not do too much. So you just keep that baseline of like making sure things aren't falling apart back at home. But those little rewards, those little things that you have to look forward to, like always having that in the calendar. Like if you look at my Southwest app right now, it's filled with flights. And that to me is like the motivating factor. Like, okay, this week until next Thursday when I leave, I have to get all of this stuff done. And I'm like dead set on making sure I get it all done. And that's just my mental illness. I think that I need to like have that kind of mindset, but that's kind of how I operate.
No, I kind of like it, to be honest. I mean, even the short trip. I mean, I was gone 3 weeks in December, and
That's hard.
that was rough. Yeah,
3 weeks is hard.
continuous is super hard. I do like the every other weekend type thing where you get to kind of reset, get back. It's not as stressful when coming back either. Like for me, that was super stressful. I had so much to do.
And I think like going like what you did like on a cruise or going somewhere like out of the country is also a lot different. Like I go somewhere, I go to Florida, I have a home base there, I have a car there. Like I feel like at home. So it's a little different than like being on a cruise ship for a week and a half or whatever with no internet and like no phone calls when your fucking whole life revolves around being on the phone all day. So that's hard. So like I do truly believe that obviously I feel blessed that I'm able to do that, but those things is what keeps me going. Like those little trips, that's it.
I think setting the deadlines, like if you give yourself 30 days to make your bed, it'll take you 30 days to make your bed. But if you give yourself 2 minutes to make it, you'll do it in 2 minutes. So like setting those trips and like thinking in your head, like I want to get X, Y, and Z done because I don't want to have to be on my computer this whole time when I'm taking a little trip down to Florida. Yeah. It definitely helps you get things done faster and more efficiently.
I agree. Having things in your calendar and also just like rewarding yourself in general. I know I've said this like a ton of times, but like when you do something, even something small and like it's a success, like you need to reap the benefits of it. You need to reward yourself in whatever way, whether it's small, big, go out to dinner, go to vacation, whatever it is. Those are the things that are going to, I feel like, really level you up, and you focus on like, okay, I have to get all this done in this amount of time, and then if I do that, I will be rewarded with going to Florida. But if I don't get all this stuff done by next Thursday, I'm not going to feel good about leaving and going to Florida. Like I'm going to leave people here in the dust and leave people behind, and it's going to hold the business back. It's going to, create issues at home. It's going to, if I don't do things here at the house and get all this stuff done for my wife, like all those things, it resonates into your whole life. So keep grinding. What's it say on your shirt? Stay humble. Work hard, something.
Dream big, work hard, stay humble.
Dream big, work hard, stay humble. See, one day we'll all be as big as Chase and as strong as Chase.
I don't know if you can grow that tall now, right?
Okay. On with the
What about
short
as
dress.
fast? Are you ever going to be as fast as Chase?
Well, I will say that I just
Yes.
ran a half marathon this weekend, and I think I probably would have beat Chase in that.
You would have, yeah. I've been slacking on the run. Well, you said we were still training. We are still training, but it's been like kind of a chill, baseline, chill winter. Because your coach was like, hey, like there's other workouts that we can do to substitute getting out of the cold, not having to run in it. But I ran 8 miles the other day and I was hurting, so definitely a grind we have to turn back on in February.
February 1st, it starts the ramp up to the May Ironman race.
Where's the race again?
Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that's going to be a good one. I will, now that I said it and I put it out there in the ethos, I will start posting our workouts again. We are in this little like Strava group battle of running miles, and I'm in the lead right now. So I think I got 70.
Whatever, dude.
I think I got 72 miles this month so far running. So we're doing it, and I think for anybody that's listening, that's like, trying to get a hold of their health, trying to get on the grind with their physical well-being. It's January. It's a good time to reset, start. One of the best things I did, and I don't want to say that I'm like sober because I didn't give up drinking 100%, but like I had stopped drinking a year ago or so. I've had a couple glasses of wine, at dinner and stuff like that, but that was one of the best things that I ever did for myself. Like I have felt so clear-headed. We went out to Chase and I went out that weekend of New Year's. I literally got a table. This was the ultimate flex. I love to So I got a table. The minimum spend was I think it was like $750, and I gave her my credit card. And I ordered a bottle of tequila for the people at our table. And then she came over and was like, the bottle service person came over and was like about to pour everybody drinks. She's like, "Oh, what do you want me to make you?" And I was like, "I'll take a Shirley Temple."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Are you serious? Like you just bought a $750 bottle of liquor?" And I was like, yeah, I don't really drink. I just like a Shirley Temple. We pay more for the space rather than the bottle. And she like didn't understand, and then she brought me a Shirley Temple, and that's what I sipped on.
Yeah, there were 6 of us. I think 2 of them were drinking.
yeah, two of them drank.
I guess who?
3 of them. Well, no, yeah, 2 of them. It was just 2.
Yeah, it was Eddie and Adam. We'll just say it.
Dave.
Dave had a couple
Dave
drinks
had a
too.
couple too.
Yeah.
I forgot about Adam being there.
But it was just a couple of us, and I hate going out to like big clubs like that without having a table, even though like I don't really drink anymore. But like going out to like one of those clubs, like I need to have a table or I'm not gonna have fun, because I'm just gonna be in the crowd bouncing around. Like I'll pay $700 for the real. I call it for the real estate. Like
You pay $700 for the couch, Ryan. Let's be
for the
real.
couch. I sat on the couch. The music's great. The vibes were good, and yeah, I mean that's just it is what it is. It's fun, man.
Yeah, Good Night John Boys is a fun time.
That's a great. Have you been there with us yet? Good Night John Boys.
Not with you guys, but I think I've been there on a couple other
Dude,
occasions.
Honestly, doesn't matter if I'm drinking, not drinking, doesn't matter.
You
That
can
place
still have a good time. Yeah.
That place is so much fun. The music is so good.
Is that the one on the corner with all the windows?
And the disco lights inside?
Like the whole wall is like a glass window to the outside?
And it's like got a disco light floor. They play
Yep.
really good like mix of like old disco music and like mixing it with new music.
I got kicked out of there one time. Actually, my buddy did. He got kicked out because he picked up the bartender.
You picked up the bartender? Like
Yeah.
physically picked them up?
It was a girl, bartender, and he picked her up and like started like, and then the bouncer came over and kicked him out.
It's a ridiculous thing.
This
That
is
will
wild.
not be in our course. On how to get kicked out of a bar.
How not to get kicked out will
How not
probably
to
be
get
in the
kicked down.
course.
Don't pick up your bartender. Tip your bartender. Don't pick them up. That's funny. All right. Well, I think that's all we got today. This will be coming out probably before we announce the next meetup, but we will have a meetup, in April?
April, yep.
So keep your eye out for that on the social medias. And yeah, until next time.